Today, I am joined by Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, former Director General of Infantry Indian Army, and we are discussing the West Asia conflict. Appreciate your joining us, sir.
Thank you, man.
On the 23rd of March, President Trump he posted on Truth Social about very good and productive conversations regarding complete and total resolution of hostilities and announced postponement of military strikes against Iranian power plants and energy infrastructure for a period of 5 days. Iran, on its part, has said that it has received messages, but it is not into any negotiations with the United States. All combatants have continued to do what they were doing before 5 days. They are attacking each other. US is sending troops into the region. It has been seen, sir, that Trump has never, I mean, he's never hesitated from using force once he's gathered force. So it seems that the hostilities on both sides, it's just not coming down. It has entered into an escalatory ladder, an escalatory spiral, which is only going upwards. How do you perceive this situation, sir?
Thank you very much, Mike. At the very outset, let's put it this way, that America, in its own little way, is attempting to diffuse the situation, knowing fully well that the aim of America is to ensure that the oil wells and the gas fields remain intact, for which it has entered the war to be able to ensure that the control remains with USA and that the petrodollar remains strong. So that's what is the aim of USA. However, the aim of Israel into the war is totally different. The aim of Israel is to ensure that Iran poses no threat whatsoever, whether be it missiles, be it nuclear, or even its economic might to be able to finance certain terrorist organizations which they have been doing over the years, like Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis, and for that matter, some in Iraq and Syria, so that at no point of time should Iran be able to pose a threat, an existential threat to Israel hereinafter. So the fact that Israel is striking their power plant or their oil fields or their gas plant is with a view that economically, if it can be pushed back, and if Israel could go even 50 years back, even 100 years for that matter, it poses no threat. And in West Asia itself, Iran has no friends. So we have to look at it that Iran has no friends. And the GCC countries that are there, which comprise of Saudi Arabia, you have Kuwait, you have Bahrain, you have Oman, all of these countries over there are new countries. The oldest among them is Saudi Arabia, 1932, followed by Kuwait, 1962. And then all the other countries are 1971 and 1970. So you see, these are new countries who do not feel comfortable with Iran whatsoever, and they would rather prefer Iran to be pounded a little more longer so that Iran poses no threat to them either.
Mm.
And their development is only post the Second World War. And even after the Second World War, much when oil actually became, well, the understanding by the West Asian countries, nationalization of the oil field, and the subsequent need felt by each one of them that neither Britain nor America hereinafter would be able to totally exploit them. So that be so. But however, I think America and especially President Trump, let's give the devil his due, is attempting to, as I again repeat, attempting to use psychological warfare with a view to see and lure Iran into a kind of a talk, knowing fully well that over a lack of targets have been hit very badly in Iran. And if America hereinafter intends to control the oil field, it would be so much better than just the striking of a lack of targets, deaths maybe about 3 odd thousand, injured maybe another about 20, 25,000, but the Iranians are still there. I would say the pride of Iranians is still not broken. The Iranians, much that they seem to be getting decimated, the morale seems to be going up primarily because that they stand under their flag only for one reason, that the Americans can't put boots on ground. If there are no boots on ground, the Americans do feel that just bombardment will not help. And therefore, all these things, much that USA might be wanting to send feelers of reconciliation, but they've allowed their partner Israel to carry on striking as much as they could. And even America at this point of time have only stated that they would not strike the power plants and they would not strike that's it, nothing else. Rest of it, they're free and they're doing it. Even now, even probably when we are discussing it also, Iran has been pounded. So there is no denying the fact. So if Iran seems that they are being given actionable intelligence from countries that they seem to be close to, that actionable intelligence and even an extended technology that is coming to them, by which they've been able to hit Israel at a place where it is now hurting Israel, and also the West Asian countries where it is hurting them because their infrastructure, their desalination plants, their refineries, their ports, their airports, their infrastructure, their hotels are being hit. So Iran is leaving no stone unturned. And at the same time, Iran feels that it has been able to weaponize the Strait of Hormuz. And since it feels that it has been able to weaponize the Strait of Hormuz, it thinks that it could do. And well, as per UNCLOS, the Strait of Hormuz is an international strait, but not in international waters, because the 12 miles of the territorial limit of both Oman and Iran on either side of the Strait of Hormuz, and the Strait of Hormuz being only 31 kilometers at its widest at a small point, and therefore there is overlapping. And hence there's an innocent passage which allows everybody to use the Strait of Hormuz for taking and ensuring that the world's 20% of energy, of crude oil, 25% of gas is allowed to be exported from there. But Iran doesn't now realizes that yes, it has allowed Strait of Hormuz to be used by all countries other than those which are opposing Iran and are in support of USA and Israel. And therefore, it has in a way divided the world, because all those who intend to pick up energy from there, like India, China, and some of the other countries, are bringing in their oil, are bringing in their gas from there, though not in the quantity that we expect to get. But yes, it has allowed, I'm told, at some huge cost, some say something like $2 billion, that Iran is accepting it in lieu of these tankers to be allowed to pass through that particular strait. So whatever be it so, but yes, discrimination has started. Iran is using, and I would say his ability to weaponize the Strait of Hormuz is what is now bothering USA. Because USA would much like to ensure that the Strait of Hormuz is kept open. America doesn't require oil from there. America doesn't require gas from there. Who requires it? Chinese require it. Japanese require it. South Korean require it. The Europeans require it. India requires it. Everybody else requires it other than them. And the requirement of all others is so large, so huge, that America wishes that all other countries who use the Strait of Hormuz must cooperate with USA to ensure the Strait of Hormuz is kept open. And not everybody must be able to fire their gun from America's shoulder. And that is where the Americans are now ensuring that all of them contribute, join in to keep the Strait of Hormuz open. But I think, well, full credit to Iran for keeping its morale high, full credit to Iran for being able to fight the Americans and the Israelis for over 3 weeks now. Full credit to Iran to be able to use and speak the language which they are using with confidence, much that it is showing defiance to USA that yes, we are ready to fight, we will not talk to you. And all these attempts of reconciliation by Trump are all not acceptable to Iran on any term, and that the terms and conditions hereinafter, since the war happens to have been started by USA, will the termination shall be the responsibility of Iran and not the ability of America to terminate the war at their discretion. So I think it's a mismatch, but hopefully, I think let's give these 5 days that the Americans have given, of which almost 3 days are almost over now, 2 more days to go. And I don't think Iran probably pressure and all kinds of talks, vans coming to Pakistan, Egypt wanting to intervene, Turkey wanting to facilitate. All these kind of talks are going on. Hopefully, I think somewhere or the other, the Iranians would have been given a message that the longer you prolong, the more the damage would be caused to Iran. And if Iranians have decided that it does not really matter, or the IRGC and the Basij over there have decided that they get to fruits now at this point of time for the damage that is caused, which is like simple, हम तो डूबे सनम अब तुम्हें ले डूबेंगे हमारा जो बर्बादी होनी थी वो तो हो गई अब हम नहीं छोड़ेंगे अब that is the kind of stand which Iran has taken, and though Iran has lost friends, Iran has lost friends in the world, and Iran has lost Islamic friends. Out of the 56 countries, Islamic countries, I don't think not many stand with Iran today, even though Pakistan stands with Saudi Arabia, but is willing to facilitate or act as a middleman to United States of America for Iran. Whether they inspire confidence in Iran is something which Iran has to decide whether they would like Pakistan, which has been just a year back targeting Iran. So, though of course they have a border of over 900 kilometers with Iran, easier access coming in and going out. Those 15 points of Trump have been handed over to Iran, and they in turn have handed over their points as to what they intend to do, which may or may not be acceptable. But the fact remains that yes, Iran is able to weaponize the Strait of Hormuz. America is able to destroy, devastate Iran, but not make them, I would say, hasn't reached a stage that they could defeat Iran the way America would want to defeat Iran. So Iran is still holding its ground. Israel is taking the beating, but Israel is able to retaliate because of the air supremacy, and Israel has been able to take 12% of Lebanon territory, that is south of Lebanon, south of the Litani River, because all the bridges on the Litani River have been destroyed, and thereby almost 8 lakh Lebanese have been displaced, who otherwise were Hezbollah, displaced from southern Lebanon. 3 lakh people from northern Israel displaced the Israelis. So this displacement, which has been huge, probably Israel is on the front foot when it comes to Lebanon, has been able to hold its ground when it comes to Iran. And America, of course, over a lack of targets destroyed in Iran, but Iran holding its ground and able to say whatever it is saying today, that it would not accept the terms and conditions of the United States of America for ceasefire. Yeah.
So, till now, what we have seen is basically an aerial warfare, be it the fighter jets, be it drones, missiles, ballistic missiles. It's only on through air, and there have been a lot of talk of American boots on ground, which America has been avoiding till now. But now we see a massive movement of troops. When I was just going through the various troops which are being moved into the region. So I believe the Marines are moving into the region. Then the 82nd Airborne Division, Delta Force, SEAL Team 6, 75 Ranger elements, all special forces, along with Special Forces Aviation. They are all into region, and the Marine Expeditionary Force is supposed to be there by Friday. So, I mean, with all the force in place, and Trump has always used force, as I said earlier, he's not desisted from using force, although he says he is not into warmongering, he does not like forever wars, but he's never desisted from using the forces at his disposal. And his Secretary of War, he goes on to say that there are no rules of fighting. So, I mean, it's a very warlike of atmosphere in the United States. So my thing, what I'm trying to understand is, sir, is the ground invasion inevitable? And if it happens, they're targeting Kharg Island I mean, as of now, what we hear as of now. And if it happens, how is it going to pan out for the American forces?
The Kharg Island by itself has almost 30 million barrels of oil, which is there in the containers on the Kharg Island. They export at any point of time 1.5 to 2 million barrels, which whenever Iran does and whenever Iran wants to. So they were sizable. And the Kharg Islands has been hit, but not the refineries have not been hit. And therefore, America has been selective in targeting of the Kharg Islands. However, 94 or almost you can say 10% of its exports are through Kharg Island. All of its oil comes to Kharg Island, and from Kharg Islands it moves out. And hence, the occupation of a Kharg Island, which is not very huge, it's a very small piece of land where it has fresh water, and most of the military there has been decimated. But to have boots on ground, which, like you rightly said, so much of the special forces moving in, maybe about 10, 15,000 troops moving in with the entire aircraft carriers at their disposal, the entire populace all around, fully equipped with tomahawks and what have you. But the aim of America, as much as boots on ground, why everybody says is something which the Americans hesitate, is they do not like the body bags going back to the United States. Today, the Americans have lost only 13 soldiers. Sad it is, but they have lost 13 soldiers. Most of them have been lost by the accident that took place on the aircraft, and 7 in class 6. But notwithstanding that, I'm sure the injuries must have been large. The Americans have lost a sizable amount of equipment, and therefore their own air defense also seems to be now coming under question mark. How is it that the Iranian missiles have been able to penetrate through and be able to destroy Saudi Arabia, UAE, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, and all of it, the damage being caused, including Iran, including Dimona, the nuclear facilities of Israel in Dimona. So there's a lot that, of course, they will do their, the introspection later as to what really happened and who was passing actionable intelligence to them and be able to pierce through their iron dome. But notwithstanding that, boots on ground, even Kharg Island, to hold Kharg Island, though it may be 25 kilometers from the coast, but until unless the coast itself is also held, the Kharg Island wouldn't be safe. So it requires a huge amount of effort to be able to do that. And that is why this propaganda, psychological warfare, that you have collapsed, we have beaten you up, we have done this to you, we are left with nothing, now it's up to you, come on. And therefore creating a divide amongst the people. People over there for over 3 weeks have been under tremendous amount of pounding by the Israelis and the USA. And there's so much happening in Iran, but despite the desire of the Americans to break the people of Iran, that hasn't succeeded. So until the people of Iran break and revolt, which is very difficult because the IRGC will shoot them. The Basij over there will shoot them. There's no question of anybody allowing themselves to be, because they themselves said any protest of the streets to be seen as enemy and would be killed. So there are no protests that can ever be there, held in Iran at this point of time, at least at this point of time, unless until it goes beyond a point of return where people get fed up and actually come out of the street. And that is what the Americans are looking at. So boots on ground, still date, despite all the numbers, despite all of it, if America is willing to accept, but then let's be very clear, Americans are doing it for the oil. And therefore, they have already told NATO, they've already told the Western countries, they've told all over that look, hereinafter, I do not expect anything from us. This oil control is ours, and how we control it and how we do it. Right now, all those who are willing to help America in its ability to have a foothold or control of oil, Americans would still like to go. But if it's America and Israel alone taking the state of Hormuz, then yes, I think the Americans have taken Venezuela. Americans will take Iran. The Americans have enough of theirs in USA by itself. Americans have other entire control over Saudi Arabia, all of it in the GCC. So Americans have huge, and the purpose of America is that China, which is dependent on the export of oil from here, is that export America intends to control through dollars. America wouldn't want any oil to move from Venezuela or from Iran for any other currency other than the petrodollar. If anybody expects that the oil can be picked up from any of these countries in currencies that they feel they can negotiate with or in barter, America is not willing to accept, primarily because Americans are in deep debt, a debt of almost $32 trillion, a debt which they can only do away with by ensuring that the petrodollar economy runs, which Kissinger had to begin with, started off with Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia agreed, and all of it is only possible, and the printing of dollars with no collateral is only possible if they control oil. Otherwise, if the oil is not controlled, possession is not bothering them. Control of oil in the currency that they want. It is their currency and not anybody else's currency. So America is quite clear what they want. And I, my personal gut feeling is Iran might just after a week decide to negotiate and come to a negotiated settlement in which there is an honorable exit which will be given to Iran, and which would help Iran keep its prestige of an old civilization. And at the same time, the possession of the oil and gas field would still be with Iran. And it would be almost seen as a victory for Iran. And America does not mind it as long as the petrodollars are traded with.
Sir, what according to you is an honorable exit for Iran?
Honorable exit for Iran is that they be allowed. Of course, nuclear, they don't want it. They themselves have accepted that, yes, they would rather not have it, despite the IAEA and the 400 kg of uranium would be so. But only honorable exit for Iran is they should be allowed to do what they want to in terms of missiles are concerned, with restrictions, not beyond 2,000 kilometers or 1,500 kilometers here and after, with control over this thing. If they intend to have an army which they want to claim, yes. But yes, IRGC has to be disbanded, the Basij have to be disbanded, and there would be a remote control of Iran, which Iranians will not accept it. But then there is no way, and that is why the defeat, the surrender, is the only way that any enemy country will accept the terms and conditions. If there is no surrender, the terms and conditions, whatever that you wish to want, it will not be acceptable to the other country because they have not surrendered. Only surrender will ensure that, yes, that there is an honorable settlement. And that honorable settlement at this point of time, the conditions that the Iranians have put, that we be allowed missiles, we be allowed, they want compensation, $500 billion, all that, everything. But of course, all these terms and conditions are, they also know what under them will be acceptable, what under them will not be acceptable, and that guarantee. I think the best thing for Iran to accept would be a guarantee that Iran will not be attacked, that Iran's territorial integrity and sovereignty will not be harmed. I think basic, these things are also given to Iran. I think Iran should accept it at this point.
If at all it comes to a situation that Iran gets an honorable exit, no nuclear capability beyond a certain percentage, obviously for medical reasons, they get the ballistic missiles, they get to keep the ballistic missiles. IRGC, obviously, they will not surrender IRGC. They will not disband IRGC because it is the core of their security, and the clerical regime, the Ayatollah regime, still in place. Because you have simply replaced Ayatollah Khomeini with Mujtaba Khomeini. That is, I mean, the regime has not changed. Although the announced goals of the Americans was not regime change, it is more of an Israeli thing. So where does that leave Israel? It is still within the range of the ballistic missiles of the Iranians. It is still with the Iran is still remains with the regime which calls for death to Israel. So how will Israel feel if it comes to a stage where Iran gets it once a certain percentage? Obviously, America is not going to make reparations. I don't think that's going to happen because that will be a huge loss of face for Trump. So where does that leave Israel then?
Yeah, after the Abraham Accord, in which most countries in the in Middle East have accepted the existence of Israel, and the neighbors of Israel have accepted the existence of Israel, especially Egypt, Jordan, all these countries which are neighbor have accepted it. Syria is almost in control of America at this point of time. The Lebanese would, I'm sure, having now suffered so badly, would not let Hezbollah be there. So you would find the existence of Israel is not threatened. The control of the long-range ballistic missiles from Iran would be controlled for. There would be an international listing. They will not let Iran do it. This threat to America, threat to Israel, and not threat, but death to Israel and death to America, which Iran is in proclaiming, I think that would be going beyond. And the theocratic state of Iran will, well, you can't, it's the will of the people. If they intend to be under the theocracy, where religion and statecraft are combined, which is not maybe acceptable to others, but if it is acceptable to them, it is their way of being governed. I think that we cannot fight. But Israel guarantees will automatically come because at this point of time, when Iran is very badly hit economically, Iran's nuclear ambitions have been totally finished. Iran's ability to manufacture missiles of ranges beyond 2000 will be put and rather will be capped, and Iran will not be allowed to do that kind of a thing. But yet, Iran, as a normal nation, will also not be allowed to fund these terrorist organizations like Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthi, the Iraqi, this thing with the Syrian, that they will not be allowed to do so. And yes, Iran as a normal nation be able to live and let live. If Iran intends to do that and not wanting to become a leader in the Muslim world and wanting to convey to the Sunni world that they have become nincompoops who could not defend the Palestinians or could not give Palestinians the right, and therefore they had to take the lead for the Palestinians. I think Iran may have to give up that kind of a desire that we can be a Khalifa of the Muslim world, because Iran will never be accepted as a Khalifa in the Muslim world. The Shia-Sunni divide is very, very wide. The divide between the Arabs and the Persians is very, very wide. The divide between the Turks and the Iranians is very, very wide. And all of it is very, very impossible that, like what Yasser Arafat would say a number of times, that thank God for Israel. If Israel is there, so at least we fight and we all have a united enemy. If Israel was not there, probably we would fight one amongst each other and finish off. So that is what the whole world is in West Asia. And I don't think the safety of Israel will be guaranteed. The safety of the desire of them to obliterate Israel from the map of the earth will not succeed. The Iranians also, their prestige and honor will also not be hurt to an extent that they virtually have to come down on their knees. No, I think it's a civilization which needs to be respected, and that will be ensured. And I'm sure some sane voices will come, and until unless some sane voices emerge in Iran, may not be as sane as the Mohammad Shah Pahlavi is concerned, but definitely sane in the terms of the present circumstances where Iran's honor, Iran's territorial integrity, Iran's sovereignty, Iran's prestige is maintained, and therefore Iran starts again as a normal nation without getting to have this feeling of death to Israel or death to America. Yeah.
So one final question. This time around, we have seen Iran hitting the GCC countries, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, Jordan, Kuwait. I don't think any country has been spared. And this has caused a lot of friction. We have seen aggression. I never expected UAE to be this aggressive. They just don't, they just want to end this war. I mean, they want to continue with the war and then end it to bring it to a logical conclusion with the military decimation, I would say, of Iran. I mean, that is the amount of what should I say? The comments I am reading, the analysis I am reading from the UAE, Bahrain, all countries. So, how do you analyze this Iranian action of hitting the GCC countries? And I mean, they could have basically uh, desisted from attacking these countries and retained at least some moderating voices in the region to control this war.
Iran wanted to put pressure in America, pressure in the world, and that they realized it when the bombardment on Tehran started. And that bombardment on Tehran was indicative that Iran may not last long, but surprisingly, Iran lasted. And Iran has been able to ensure that the morale and the whole lot of 9 crore people are able to stay under the flag and be able to fight. But yes, what happens with the GCC countries? But what is surprising, Mayank, is that all these countries have been equipped with billions and billions of dollars of military equipment. And all of that equipment, which is billions and billions of dollars of Patriots and Tugs and what have you, the air defense and the aircrafts and everything, they are using it to defend themselves. Not one amongst them has attacked Iran. Not one of those 6 countries have attacked Iran. Why would they not want to attack? If you have billions and billions of dollars of latest weaponry, the least when attack, your infrastructure is being hit, not the American bases, your infrastructure, your desalination plant, your refinery, your hotels, your ports, everything, airport, everything yours being hit. But not one of them have fired a missile on to Iran. They have intercepted Iranian missiles to defend themselves. So it's a very catch-22 situation that only Israel and USA are attacking Iran, but none of the other countries equipped by USA are attacking Iran. In fact, they should have done so.
So they're used
Nobody
to
is
affluence,
attacking Iran.
perhaps.
So
So
there is a
they're used to affluence. I mean, Saudi Arabian army is basically Pakistani army. I mean, they don't have an army per se. They have not been able to defeat the Houthis for this long a period. So maybe because of affluence, I mean, they're not used to fighting, I would say.
despite the Islamic NATO, which Rashad Sharif, who from Pakistan and ex-chief has gone there to Saudi Arabia, created one of so many countries that Islamic NATO should have done some work. Probably they have been able to not even defend themselves. Everybody there is looking at America to defend them.
Hmm.
There's none who have come forward to be able to defend themselves despite billions of dollars. Now, why the hell was Sharif over there? If he is not able to organize these people, and Saudi Arabia got him over there with a view to ensure, what has he done? If this destruction was, in any case, his absence would have probably saved them more because it created a false sense of security among them that they have created an Islamic NATO. What Islamic NATO have they created? They have done nothing. They have in turn just depended on United States of America to defend them. And their prosperity is directly dependent and on the United States of America. So anybody, if you totally outsource everything of your prosperity, your security to another country, then I'm expecting them not to expect a pound of flesh from you. That's asking for more. It's very natural that America will expect these countries to stand united with them and not against them. And at least the least they could have done is to ensure and help keeping the Strait of Hormuz open, which they have not done. Because who are all these countries are towards the Persian Gulf, even though, of course, Saudi Arabia can create pipelines that come to the Oman, Gulf of Oman, and create that 5 million barrels of oil which can be shifted to the pipeline. It can do so. It may have already started the work on. Oman also might be wanting a pipeline to be cut across. But that's the thing which is not immediate. It
Yeah.
will be still in the process of being constructed and things will take time before all the oil, because after all, about 20 million barrels of oil is exported every day from there, from this Strait of Hormuz. So there's a lot that is happening. But yes, you're right that the GCC countries should have been a little more assertive, more aggressive, more demanding that you can't do this to us. And they've been Arabs, and the Arabs don't see eye to eye with the Persians. And despite this, that they have been able to defend themselves to a large extent by intercepting it, but intercepting at what cost? A $50,000 drone being intercepted in the millions of dollars of the Patriot. So it's a very expensive interception, which probably these countries may not be able to afford, or the manufacturing may not cope up with the kind of interception that the Americans would want to be done. So that may be again one of the reasons why the Americans also want ceasefire, so that everything goes happy, and before their defense industrial setup can again sort of boost their production. It, at this point of time, the Americans just have enough to keep their prestige intact and be able to pound Iran. Yeah.
So we'll have to conclude on that. 2 days more left for this so-called pause on attack on energy and infrastructure on Iran. So I mean, we can only wait and watch as to what happens next. But thank you so much for sparing time for us and sharing your views. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, man. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Always a
Thank,
pleasure.
thank you, sir.